The oh-so-tolerant LGBTQ thugs are now claiming that there will be no safe spaces for queer America until religion in general, and Christianity in particular, is completely destroyed. And their answer is Gaytheism to replace traditional theism. That's Gaytheism. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Dr. Duke Show. As you know, we're the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% at MyPillow.com when you use our own private, really cool, hip-happening Dr. Duke code. That is DRDUKE, DRDUKE. Again, save up to 66% at MyPillow.com. We just start in New Jersey, where a university is promoting a book that argues that homophobia will not be eradicated in the United States until religion itself is ended. So this is where we are now, right? Not only all that go along to get along, we just want to be left alone. Turned out to be exactly what a lot of people warned. I remember when Barack Obama, do you remember, had his miracle transformation when he was one moment, about 5 seconds after he won his second presidential term and was not going to be able to run for office? Did you see how quickly his views on marriage evolved? He, like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, they'd all run for office on the idea that marriage was between a man and a woman. 1 minute into the second term of Obama, it was now all of a sudden raining men, because what we're going to do now is legalize gay marriage. And we were told, right? All you Christians there that saw this as an existential threat, all you religious bigots who thought that stupid little blue bumper sticker with the yellow equal sign, love is love, right? You all thought that all they wanted to do was love each other. No, they want to eradicate you in the name of eradicating homophobia.
Now, of all the universities in all the land here of America that could have been promoting this, it's Rider University, promoting a book in their online library.
Shouldn't it be Rider instead of Rider?
And according to the publication description of Gaytheism, it's arguing that homophobia will not be eradicated in the U.S. until religion is ended. Now, it's slouching towards Gaytheism, Christianity and queer survival in America. And it's written by W.C. Harris, who is a professor at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. And it's in the Writer's Library Research Guide for Christian and religious privilege.
There you go.
So because they put a cross on the front, they're like, okay, I guess we're putting this into the Christian and religion privilege, but we're slouching towards Gaytheism. Now, the book summary on their library website does state that slouching towards Gaytheism brings together two intellectual traditions, the New Atheism and queer theory, and moves beyond them to offer a new voice for gay Americans and atheists alike. Well, isn't that?
This is intersectionality nice for gay people.
Yes, this is true.
Bring the atheists, bring the gays together, and you've got Gaytheism.
Yes, and according to said author, the time has come for Gaytheism, leaving religion behind in order to preserve queer dignity, rights, and lives.
So think about that.
Those are some heavy words to put in there.
Queer dignity requires the death of religion.
Queer rights and queer just lives.
Right, because,
poof, they'd be gone.
My
if
goodness, people are killing gay people left and right, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a it's a lie when you talk about transgenders, let alone gay people. Well, ride him or ride her? Ride him University. So they foreground this book, and they're actually preaching about this. They're actually promoting it as a way of getting their students informed. Now, again, this is a hate book. Right, this is a book that basically decided that we're going to eradicate religion because we can, because now we are culturally ascendant. The church is waning. Christianity is waning. You didn't need a book saying, let's go out and persecute the church. You could have just let it happen, because it was happening. And you know that, Mr. Harris at Shippensburg State University. You know that. You know that Christianity is already dying publicly. So what you want to do is get out there and kill it. Because that's kind of how you are. Rather than let it die a peaceful death, you're going to... Now, with all due respect to Mr. Harris, he talks specifically about Christianity. I want to see him take on Islam. I want one of these gay rangers to just man up and do it. Let's see you do it. Let's see you treat Islam now the way you have treated Christianity for 30 years. All the Christian West did was surrender to you. And your response to it for surrendering is you have to die. Take it to Islam. I got my popcorn. I'm going to watch.
Well, Rider University is really trying to push out religion as fast as they can, Christianity as fast as they can, because this is not the only book that they've been promoting. They are promoting The White Christian Privilege, The Illusion of Religious Equality in America by Khyati Y. Joshi. I think that's how you say it, whatever. This book examines the ways Christian privilege in the U.S. has always been entangled with notions of white supremacy. Always.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is that one of the premises of the book is any attempt to align Christianity with gay thinking or to suggest that one can be queer in a Christian context is worse than dangerous. So they're basically saying any attempt by Christianity to reach out to gay people, or Christianity, as many Christian denominations have done, to welcome gay pastors, gay ministers, that's dangerous, and it reifies homophobia. So whenever the Christian churches play ball with the gay people, that's even worse than homophobia itself. So the only answer for our erstwhile professor is you got to kill religion. Again, that includes all religions. So the mullahs, bring the mullahs on. Round one. All right, round one. Gays win. Christians knocked out in the first round. Bring on the mullahs, baby. Let's see the fight.
College is all about feelings, and so we must address queer feelings. They must be learned. They just must. And across the nation, fall classes are focusing overtly, not even trying to hide the ball on this one. They are overtly talking about queer sexuality, education, activism, queer education, queer. That's what they're doing. So we have some examples. We just felt like sharing, because sharing is caring. Feelings. At Humboldt State University, their Department of Critical Race, Gender, and Sexuality Studies has decided that they're going to use a community activism course to teach students organizational and activist skills in a course that will involve hands-on projects.
Isn't that itself a bit of a microaggression?
A little bit.
Hands-on. So you got Humboldt State University. The fact that they have actually a department of critical race, gender, and sexuality tells you how far education has gone down the toilet. It's dying the way that Christianity is, and it can't happen too soon. But again, there's no irony when they're talking about hands-on projects here, but okay.
At the University of Wisconsin, Madison, classes including queer bodies and queering ecofeminism, they're going to be happening. Now, the Queer Bodies course centralizes the intersection of LGBTQ identities and dis/ability. That's a new one. That's a new one. That's going to be everywhere now. Dis/ability. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that dis/ability, but that's a new one for this fall. Get ready, everyone. And through various queer bodies, which are also inflected by race, class, geographical, and national locations. Approaches may include critical theory, there it is, about queer bodies and personal narratives. Oh my goodness. Students will learn a variety of ways to think critically and creatively about the politics of bodily experience, including how those politics have shaped their own embodied lives. Yeah. Thanks, Madison.
Yeah. But how about
Go Bucky.
You can't leave queering ecofeminism.
Sorry.
So ecofeminism, which is the joining together of environmentalism and feminism, apparently it's not gay enough. So we're going to figure out how to queering ecofeminism.
And that one, it's going to entail a feminist study of LGBTQ sexualities considering race, nationality, and time.
Where's the word environment anywhere in there?
I don't know.
How is it echo? If echo as an how does that work?
Ecological? Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
Where's the intersectionality there?
Maybe they just mean echo, like echo chamber, where they're just going to talk amongst themselves about their same idea. There's their echo.
We would need the H, but that would be the best way of looking at it. Queering ecofeminism. So you bring environmentalists and radical feminists together, and we find out now the left's not happy because they're not queer enough.
Yep. Well, over at the University of Washington, they have a course that's titled Queer Desires. And that's going to explore desire and the politics of sexuality. Well, they're going to, of course, relate it to gender, race, class, and transnational processes.
And is that transnational as in transgender national or across many cultures?
They're just putting in whatever gobbledygook words they want.
Now they're just saying, all these titles are being made by one of those machines, right? The computer programs.
Mad Libs. They're Mad Libbing.
Mad Libs, just Mad Libs. And if UW is giving us queer desires, Portland State University is giving us queer feelings. Though the course description offers no details about the topic at the time of publication. So desire is, what do all these things have in common? Desires, feelings, urges, drives. They have nothing to do with anything intellectual, do they?
No, but
it's a complete surrender, logic and reason, all those white supremacist holdouts of real education.
Like those things by a guy named James Madison, where at the university named after him, you can earn 3 credits through a feminist blogging course. Feminist blogging.
So
you get
blog.
to learn to work in a feminist collective where you write and publicize a blog, according to the course description. And this is used as a means of consciousness raising. So you're going to earn 3 credits. How much are you going to pay for those credits? To sit in a room either by yourself or with the other people in your class while you're on your computer.
The feminist commune.
Blogging.
Yes.
You can do that every night while you sit by the windowsill with your cat.
Blogging is a
yourself.
Fancy word for texting.
Well, yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, no.
Yeah, it is. Just you're entering data about your day. Blogging is no different than that. And you're going to be you're also going to be part of a feminist collective, right? A feminist collective. I got a question. Who's killing the spiders and who's taking the trash out? The lesbians?
Well, all across the nation, all of the states have been going all in on these sexuality national standards, but of all the states you could pick that would actually maybe fight against it, you maybe would have put Nebraska on the list, but no.
Hey, they're husking corn there. It may be a little gayer than we thought it was. Maybe it's a euphemism, corn husking. I don't know. When it's hit the heartland like this.
Well, Nebraska is the latest state that is going all in on these national sexuality education standards. And I'll just remind everyone, because we've talked about this how many times. Started out in California where they readily accepted it. And then states across the nation have just been, okay, now we'll take it. Okay, yeah. All the other states are doing it, so yeah, now we'll take it. But here's what some of these standards include. In grades K through 2, your children, if you have a kindergartner, that kindergartner should be taught the proper names of male and female body parts and gender norms. They must understand that every living thing reproduces. Kids who are in grades 3 to 5 are required to learn about the human reproductive process, HIV, and other STDs. Although I thought they were called STIs now, but they keep changing what's acceptable terminology. And how the STDs spread. So your 3rd grader is going to learn all about that. About masturbation, of course, your 3rd grader must learn about that. Various sexual orientations, including homosexuality, the difference between cisgender, transgender, and non-binary. And the process of transitioning. Your 3rd grader is going to learn about transitioning. Do you see, Mom and Dad, why our public school system is just deplete? Just completely, you need to get out. That's it. The long and short, just get out.
This is not new. Don't just go back and look at any of our Dr. Duke show, pre-Dr. Duke show Common Core talks. We were among the very first people in the whole country to 10 years ago today. This is 10 years ago this year, 2021 and 2011, we were among the very first people to call your attention to the national sexuality standards. We read them as part of our Common Core. We demonstrated in very great detail how all these sexual standards that had been conceived by a national organization were already being used in Common Core. They were everywhere. And now now to see that here you are 10 years later and to find them more greatly defined and more ubiquitous, to find them in Nebraska public schools is completely predictable because we predicted it.
Yeah, and we have one parent named Justin Thiel, who is a father of a kid who's supposed to be starting kindergarten this September. And he said before he registered his daughter, he read what the new sex ed standards were going to be. So we have a parent who's actually proactive before the school year even begins to make sure he's okay with what's going to be taught to his daughter. And he was appalled, naturally. So he decided, you know what, we're going a different direction. They're going to go to a Christian school instead. And so hopefully everyone in Nebraska who's out there listening right now, you do the same thing. We even have a retired Nebraska pediatrician who is my new best friend. Her name is Dr. Susan Greenwald, and she has spent years working with childhood victims of sexual abuse. She was pretty blunt. I like it. She said the first thing out of my mouth was, holy what pedophile wrote this? This is grooming 101. If you were a pedophile and wanted to teach your kid to be a victim, this would be what you use.
And what's so sad about this is 10 years ago, this became widely known in part by us and other activists, and nothing happened. There was Common Core rolled on, the standards got incorporated. Now the standards have taken over, and now it's good. It's really great that Ms. Greenwald has now noticed it, but it's a little, the corn has already been shucked, right? Well, with all that shucking going on, let's do something that has not been intersectionalized as yet. Let's talk about the great sublime painters of the 19th century, particularly American painters like our study for this instant class at week, Frederick Edwin Church. Take a look here at this painting. Give us the big picture, Mike. And you get a sense really in this picture, I think, about the scope and the dimension. This is, by all accounts, a really big canvas. It is almost 5.5 feet by 9.5 feet. The canvas itself is really, really big because it's got a really, really big story to tell. You can see what we mean by the idea of the sublime here, right? It's this these frozen, geologically ancient glaciers as they fall apart, and they render these beautiful and dangerous icebergs floating in the Arctic. And you can just see with the artist's palette, look at just how the blue greens, those really sharp, deep blue greens on the right-hand side of the picture, at the bottom of the picture. I mean, that color, it looks like you're going to freeze your hands just by looking at the picture. And you can see in the Arctic, right, how murky and frozen that water is. And you can see those big looming iceberg, that one in the middle at least, this huge floating iceberg, big, just staggering in size and proportion. And notice the colors too. Now, this is an Arctic landscape, and so you can see here is the cold, the chill, the beautiful way the dim Arctic light of the sun trying to pierce through those smoky clouds muddles more than anything else. Doesn't clarify the water, right? It doesn't reflect. It very, very weakly reflects back what it is seeing there in the icebergs and the scape itself. And so, really, a beautiful picture that has a deep connotation, a lot of cool imagery, a lot of great coloring in this picture, and you get a sense of the sublime. I should mention quickly about the sublime. And the sublime is, this kind of art is named sublime art because of the feelings it is supposed to invoke when you see it. Just to be like, imagine how big these canvases are, and imagine standing before in the middle of the wilderness, and you have this clear view of the Milky Way, on no city lights dimming it, just seeing the thing for what it was, or standing for the first time before Niagara Falls. That's going to be one of our church pictures for later in the week. Standing before the beauty, the stark beauty of the natural world. Now keep in mind too, that in Europe, a lot of that had been blunted because Europe, for thousands of years, had been developed. Yes, you still had the Alps and Italy, France, and Switzerland, and they were gorgeous, and the Europeans were doing sublime painting as well. To stand at the foot of the Matterhorn, or to stand on the place in the Alps where Hannibal's elephants traveled in winter 220 years ago. Those are staggering things. The feeling of the sublime. The sublime conveys the idea of how small human beings, how small we feel when we are in the presence of such great panoramic scenes. If you go back to the picture, this is exactly that. The simple magnitude of that iceberg, which is part of a much, much larger glacier and glaciated area. This is the phenomenon of how big nature works on this scale. It makes us feel absolutely small, and absolutely the feeling of awe is another feeling of the sublime. This awe and reverence in the presence of that which is so hauntingly beautiful and so vastly great. This particular picture was inspired. Church was inspired by his 1859 voyage to the North Atlantic. Sailed around Newfoundland and Labrador. The painting is one of Church's so-called great paintings because of the size of the canvas. It depicts icebergs in the afternoon light of the Arctic. It was first displayed in New York City in 1861. Again, the year that began the Civil War. Visitors were paid. This is interesting. Visitors paid 25 cents admittance to see a one painting show. This was the only image that was part of it, right? And so people would go in, pay their 25 cents, but people who would never, ever be able to get to the Arctic, people who would never see this firsthand because of it's dangerous and it was far away. You could pay a quarter, which is a lot of money in 1861, to go into a gallery and see just this picture. Similar one-painting shows were done by Church in Boston and London as well. The unconventional landscape of ice, water, and sky, unlike what was usually earth, mountain, and sky. In this case, very rare, ice, water, and sky. It drew general praise, but again, the American Civil War, which began that same year, took a lot of the art community and marginalized them. People were focused on, obviously, much more broad political and sociological events. This painting went missing. For about 100 years, it was lost. It was bought early in the 1900s, and then disappeared. Nobody knew where it was. It was after a search, it was found again in 1979, where after a number of galleries started hunting for it, and at that time they found it in a private residence where it had been for almost 100 years, just hanging there. No one really quite aware of what they possessed in terms of its wealth. In 1979, the painting was auctioned off in New York City for $5.2 million, which at the time made it the most expensive selling painting by an American artist ever offered up.
All right, those are the stories for today. If you have a question for us, please feel free to drop it in the mailbag by emailing askduke@fpeusa.org. And if you enjoy our content, please support our show by joining the Patriot Club. Your one-time $99 tax-deductible donation keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a special thank you, we will ship you our signature tumbler.
And that's a wrap for all this good stuff for Freedom Project. I'm Dr. Duke, and she's Katie. Until next time, stay sublime, my friends.